Federico, we've got a very big day happening here at MacStories. And before we get to all the details, because I know you're chomping at the bit to tell people what's going on, but I'm not going to let you, not just yet, because I want to thank our two sponsors for this episode, which is Quill and Technology Untangled. All right, Federico, I'm going to unleash you, and you're going to have to pause once in a while. Let me get a word in edgewise, but I know we announced today something that you and I have been talking about for a very, very long time, and we want to kind of walk people through it because there's a lot, and part of it is this very episode, because this is the first day that AppStories Plus is available, which is a subscription version of this very podcast.
Yes, this is a big day for MacStories. It's been in the making for, at the very least, a couple of years. You came to Rome in the fall of 2019, before the pandemic happened, and we officialized our plans for what we are announcing today. But those plans, I believe, had been on our minds already before you came to Rome for quite some time. So I know that I've been thinking personally about all of this for 3 years. But more practically speaking, we've been working and planning on this as a team for, I would say, the past 2 years. And we've been building the actual platform for the past year together with Alex. So it's a big day at MacStories. In case you've missed the announcement, we are introducing the next generation of Club MacStories. The club has existed since September 2015. So after 6 years, we are introducing 2 new Club MacStories tiers. Club MacStories Plus is the first one, and the other one, which we consider sort of the all-access or the ultimate plan, is Club Premier. And the idea behind all of this is that we are growing Club MacStories from, I would say, 3 main points of view. First, more content. We are producing more original content, which we're going to talk about in a minute, exclusively for Club MacStories Plus members. Second, we are launching a community. So we are introducing a Discord community, a Discord server, where we are going to be hanging out. We are going to, connect club members with each other. We are going to participate in those discussions happening on the Discord. But unlike other communities, I see these Discord servers every once in a while on their other websites too, and they just want to provide people with the space to chat, and that's fine. But we felt like we wanted to do a little more, which is why in our Discord we will be hosting regular community-based activities, which are going to be fun, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. And lastly, the third point, I would say, we are introducing a powerful new web app called Calliope that is at the foundation of the Club MacStories website right now. It comes with a series of modern and advanced reading options that people have been asking for years at this point. And this web app, this technology, Calliope, is going to power MacStories, the main website, in the future as well. So these are the 3 main points for, that sort of sum up today's launch, but there's a lot to cover here.
There really is. It's really exciting, and it's really I know that Calliope itself, the underlying technology and the tools that we use to make it happen, may not be the kind of things that are really user facing, but they're the underpinnings of what allow us to do a lot more than we ever have before, because we really, frankly, got to the point where having a newsletter-based club was constraining us from doing everything we wanted to do. And what we're doing with these new tiers is we're introducing things that let us kind of break free from those constraints and offer a lot more in terms of perks and activities and everything else that we're going to get into now.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that we've been looking at this is we're not just saying, oh, now you can read the MacStories weekly on the web, which you can do, of course. That is a feature that we now have. But there's a lot more going on in terms of building a platform, building a technical foundation that lets us support a variety of features beyond just saying, oh, it's the newsletter, now you can open it in a web browser. And those features involve browsing the archive, RSS, full text search, integration with podcasts, having a new account page, having a new authentication system that connects your club account to Discord, for example. It's a full package, and that is why it took us a while to put all of this together, because this entire platform, Calliope, is entirely custom. We've done it all.
Yes.
It's entirely, this is not like an off-the-shelf CMS. This is totally custom to MacStories. It's a thing we built.
Right. It's really what we're offering with the new tiers isn't something we could do with the existing tools, because we, of course, explored that. But as I'm sure you've heard us talk about many times in the past, we like to control as much of our own technology stack as we absolutely possibly can. And with Calliope, we now control more than we ever have. Of course, we're still working with companies like Stripe for payment processing and Memberful to determine, who's a member and what level they're at. But everything else is totally custom, and we'll dig into it now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the new plans, I think, to get started, to sort of give people an idea of what we are introducing today. So first thing I want to say is nothing is changing for your existing Club MacStories account. We are still using Memberful. It's still priced at $5 a month or $50 a year. And you are keeping the same benefits as before. You still get MacStories Weekly. You still get the monthly log. You still get MacStories Unplugged. You still get downloads. So like things like wallpapers and the EPUBs of our iOS and macOS reviews, and access to occasional discounts that we are doing. You still keep all of those features. Nothing is changing. In fact, we are giving you some of the benefits of the new foundation that we have built. So even existing Club MacStories members, you can use Calliope. You can go to the new club.macstories.net website and you can read issues of MacStories Weekly and the monthly log on the web. You can use our new responsive website that supports dark mode, which is, a first for our newsletters. You can read those newsletters on the web, but not only that, you can also open individual sections of the newsletters. This is one of the major features of Calliope that we're going to talk about more in the context of what it enables for Club MacStories Plus and Club Premier. But you can now open individual sections of MacStories Weekly as if they were their own standalone story. So you can open, say, one of my Shortcuts Corner articles in its own tab. It gets its own link, and you can share that link with other people. You can open a specific home screen from, say, John in a separate tab, because one of the features of Calliope is it's a modular CMS where sections exist both as part of a bigger whole of a newsletter, but they also exist standalone as individual components, as individual articles that you can read and you can share. And in the case of the more expensive tiers, you can browse, search, and put together via RSS. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to say that if you're an existing member, you keep all of your benefits, you get access to Calliope, and you can upgrade your existing account if you're interested in the new plans to Club MacStories Plus or Club Premier. No need to create a separate account. We have a beautiful upgrade flow that you can follow. You just go to club.macstories.net/plans. You sign in the toolbar. There's a big sign in button. It recognizes your existing club account, and then you can choose to upgrade. You keep your existing credentials. You just switch to a different plan. And our upgrade flow is what's it called? Pro rata. It's a pro rata upgrade, meaning it calculates the difference. If you already paid for the year, it calculates the difference that's necessary to upgrade to a different account. So again, if you're an existing club member, thank you, as always, obviously. If you're interested, nobody's forcing you to upgrade, right? We are keeping 3 tiers, your existing one and 2 new ones, which are additional optional tiers.
This episode of AppStories is brought to you by Quill, messaging to make your team better. Quill is a messaging app and service that puts you, your time, and your focus first. You're in control over what and how much you see. At the same time, though, Quill makes it easier for you to get involved in conversations and decisions that need your input. Quill does this by organizing communications around threads, so conversations don't get mixed and muddled. You can join a thread without following a channel. That way you see only what you need to see and what you want to see without anything extra. Best of all, joining a thread is automatic. Just start one or get mentioned and you're all set. You can also decline to follow threads and channels that you follow, cutting down on the noise. It's a system that's lightweight and easy to use. Push notifications are off by default for all channels and threads, and instead, events show up in your activity feed. Get caught up whenever works best for you instead of being interrupted and distracted constantly. When something is urgent, you can send a priority notification, and a push notification is sent immediately. You'll know it's important too, because you won't get buried in a bunch of other things. When you see a new thread in your activity feed, you can quickly decide whether to follow it there and then. On top of all of that, you can retroactively create a thread, split them, quote messages, and move DMs to published channels whenever you want. Quill is perfect for individual productivity and an effective way to facilitate remote collaboration among members of distributed teams. It's an easy and natural way to make sure that the right people are involved in the right conversations. To learn more about Quill, go to quill.chat. Again, that URL is quill.chat. Our thanks to Quill for their support of the show. All right, Federico, let's talk about Club MacStories Plus, because that's where a lot of the new stuff is happening. And let's start with the content instead.
Yes.
Let's start with the content, because that is all new content that you and I are creating. You are going to be doing a series of lessons called the Automation Academy. Why don't you explain for folks what exactly that is?
Yeah, so the idea, I had this idea for this column, this regular monthly column for the club a couple of years ago. It's called the Automation Academy. And as the name suggests, it's going to be a deeper dive into all kinds of automation tools with a focus on shortcuts, of course, but not limited to shortcuts. Because right now we have all kinds of automation utilities, right? We have things like Keyboard Maestro on the Mac. We have things like Obsidian, which to an extent could be considered an automation utility for writers. So obviously, shortcuts is going to be the focus of this, but I'm not limiting myself to that aspect. And the goal of the Automation Academy is to provide high-level overviews and deeper technical dives on specific techniques and concepts and reusable routines that you can use in shortcuts, that you can use in other automation apps, understanding how it all works behind the scenes, taking a complex shortcut or taking a complex automation and understand the techniques that were used, understand how it works, understand the limitations of it, right? And trying to take that technology, take that concept and make it work for your use case. Now, what's fun about this is that it will allow me to go deeper and really talk about the nerdy aspects of some of my shortcuts, which were probably a little too much for the regular shortcuts corner in MacStories
Right.
Weekly. And it would allow me to tie this all together with our Discord community as well. Because what I'm going to do here, it's called the Automation Academy, right? So let's say that I'm the teacher in this academy. I am going to be assigning homework and exercises to members, just to get a sense of, how people interpret my lessons and how they can take, say, one of the principles, one of the techniques that I've explained. Say that I do a lesson at some point about creating rich lists in shortcuts. At that point, I may assign homework and say, I want to see what the community does. I want to see what Club MacStories Plus or Club Premier members do when it comes to creating shortcuts that use rich lists. And people will be sharing those, creations in the Discord. And we're going to talk about those and we're going to highlight the best examples from the community. So this is going to be fun because there will be an integration between what I do with my lessons on the club website and how the community reacts to those lessons and what they put together. And I think it's going to be a real fun sort of community exercise altogether, learning about shortcuts, learning about these high-level techniques and, implementation details that I was never able to fully cover on MacStories Weekly before.
I like to think of you as the Professor Oak of Club MacStories,
The
Federico.
Professor, that's super good. The Professor Oak of, I love it.
You're going to walk in in your white lab coat and start explaining to us how to, not to catch Pokemon, but to but to do shortcuts and other automations. I think that's a terrific column. I'm really looking forward to participating in that myself and learning a thing or two. I'm doing a special column too for Club MacStories Plus and Premier members called the Macintosh Desktop Experience. Now that's a little bit of a mouthful, right? And you'll see us abbreviated here and there, but the genesis of that name is in the Finder, because if you open the About window for the Finder, you'll see that right there at the top of the window. And the idea is we're going through a massive transition with the Mac right now, both in terms of the hardware and in terms of the operating system. And I think that can be, it's both exciting and disconcerting for a lot of people. And what I want to do with this column is kind of move people forward with their use of the Mac and think about, use those existing technologies, existing apps and things that exist today, but bring them in kind of a new framework and look at them a little differently and try new things that really fit with where I think the Mac is going and what I consider kind of the modern Mac experience. We don't know exactly where this is all going, but we're going to kind of learn that together and see where Apple takes us, and also kind of figure out what are some of the best ways to get the most out of your Mac in 2021 and beyond. So that's what my column is going to be about, and I'll be incorporating the Discord as well. We'll have a special channel just for that, where we can talk about the columns, talk about what people are doing, share tips, and I think it'll be a really interesting group exercise that way.
Yeah, so I really think this is that's also gonna be a fun column based on what I've seen of your Mac experiments lately, John. I think that's gonna be really interesting. And yes, so both the Automation Academy and the Macintosh desktop experience will be exclusive to Club MacStories Plus, which is $10 a month or $100 a year, and Club Premier, which is $12 a month or $120 a year. And both of them will be posted exclusively on the new Club website. Now, that's the content aspect. And I guess while we're talking about content, we should also mention that Club Premier, the more, the premium tier of Club MacStories at this point, what we consider the ultimate MacStories experience, is the only one that includes AppStories Plus. So AppStories Plus, this very podcast, if you're listening to the free show, there's a whole members-only pre-show segment that we've been doing in secret for the past 3 months, and that we will continue doing going forward. And Club Premier is the only tier of Club MacStories that includes everything we are doing. It comes with all the benefits of Club MacStories Plus, which means more original content, Discord access, new features for our brand new web app on club.macstories.net, and it includes AppStories Plus as well. So we think it's a really good deal, because instead of paying $5 or $50 a year for AppStories Plus standalone, you can just pay $12 and you get access to everything. Club MacStories Plus and AppStories Plus in the same subscription.
Yeah, it really is a great deal, I think. And, AppStories Plus, for those who haven't seen our announcement, is an extended version of the show. It'll have a bonus pre-show every episode. It's ad-free, and we're going to be delivering it a day early on Sunday, U.S. time. So all those things plus high bitrate audio, which it's still a compressed MP3. Don't get your hopes up for FLAC or Ogg Vorbis or anything like that. But it is a higher bit rate than the regular free version of the show, and does sound better. So we're doing that as well, which I think is kind of uncommon among podcasts, but we thought it was a nice little additional touch. It's a smaller feature, but a fun one.
Yeah, we're doing it all, right? So with AppStories Plus, you get the same, AppStories you know and love, but it sounds better. It's longer. It's got extra content before the main show. It's free of ads, so no interruptions, and it comes out a day before. So no matter where you live in the world, no matter where your time zone is, this show, most weeks, unless we have like a press embargo from Apple or some other extraordinary circumstance, it will come out a day before. So you'll get it on Sunday. Most tech podcasts, they come out during the week, and it can be a little hard to prioritize during the week when you're busy what kind of show you want to listen to. With AppStories Plus, that's not a problem anymore, because you get it on Sunday. You can listen on Sunday. You can listen super early on Monday morning. If you're, if for someone like John wakes up at 5 a.m. for some reason, you can listen to AppStories Plus at 5 a.m. Monday morning, no problem. So
I think maybe I wake up at 5 a.m. because I work with somebody who lives in Italy. Maybe that's part of the problem there.
Maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know. Could be. Maybe you also work with someone from Italy. Who knows? Maybe you also are from Chicago like John. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It could be a number of things. But yeah, I think it's going to be really neat to have the early release too, because, I know from my experience, a lot of the shows that I listen to, especially the tech shows that I listen to that come out during the week, if I don't get to them, I listen to them during the week. I listen to them during the weekend, and then I've got nothing left on Monday morning. But with this, you'll have something first thing Monday morning, which is perfect for if you've got a commute or anything like that.
Yeah.
This episode of AppStories is brought to you by Technology Untangled. One of my favorite things to do is to discover new podcasts to listen to. And maybe you're brand new to AppStories and have had that experience recently too. Well, I've got a show for you to try. It's called Technology Untangled, and it's hosted by Michael Bird. Technology Untangled is a show that deciphers tech's rapid evolutions with one single question in mind. What's really going to shape our future? And what's going to end up in the bargain bin with the floppy disk? I've listened to a couple of really cool episodes recently. The first one was all about quantum computing. It's a subject that I've read about before, but I've rarely seen it described very well or explained. And Technology Untangled did a great job of doing that, putting it in simple terms that I could understand. The same thing was true with blockchain. I listened to an episode about the blockchain, and it did a great job of explaining everything. If you love to learn and understand today's technology, this is the podcast for you. Other topics covered include things like a deep dive into 5G, how supercomputers are helping solve the COVID problem, along with AI, the future of jobs, energy innovation, the mission to Mars, and a whole lot more. The show has lots of great guests, too. Michael Bird has interviewed people from Google, Sainsbury's, Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing, Goodhilly Earth Station, and the New York Times and Nokia. In fact, he's interviewed over 50 super interesting people this year. Think technologists, scientists, academics, developers, futurists, and IT generalists. And in the final episode of A Technology Untangled, you can hear about the one innovation almost all guests couldn't stop talking about, as well as learning how to prepare for tomorrow's innovations today. Search for Technology Untangled anywhere you listen to podcasts. We'll include a link in the show notes, too. Our thanks to Technology Untangled for their support of the show.
All right, so do you want to let's talk about the Discord server next.
Yeah, we already mentioned that, so it's a good time to be doing that, I think.
Yeah, so we have been, as you can imagine, we've been talking about doing a Club MacStories community for a long time. Really, we started talking about this
very long time.
A couple of years after we introduced the original Club MacStories in 2015. I believe in 2017 we started talking about this. And that conversation was somewhere along the lines of maybe we should do a Slack community. Maybe we should try something else. Maybe we should do a forum board. But then we quickly realized we didn't have the capacity to do that because we were already stretched pretty thin and we didn't know anything about moderation. And we just didn't have the right ideas, I think, at the time. We just didn't want to be like a copycat of other communities online.
No. And I think we also didn't want it to be just kind of this thing that's off to the side. We wanted to find a way to really integrate it with all the other things we do at MacStories. And that's what really took a lot of, I think, planning and thinking and what I think we've accomplished with what we were putting together.
Exactly. So I feel like we took our time to do this right. And by doing it right, I think it means a combination of factors. First of all, our goal is for this Discord server to be a safe, welcoming, and inclusive community. We have put together a series of rules that you need to accept if you want to join our server. We have a code of conduct that is public on the web. You can read it on the Club MacStories website. We have an FAQ. We are doing this right in terms of setting the tone and setting the sort of the kind of experience that we want members to have on the Discord server. And also we have assembled a fantastic team of moderators who are going to help us navigate, the complexities of putting together hundreds of people and letting them talk to each other on the internet. Sometimes conversation can be derailed, and sometimes people can get into arguments, and we want to make sure that people can have disagreements in a civil way. And most of all, we want to make sure that people have fun on this Discord server, that they share useful tips, that they talk about what we do at MacStories, that they get to know each other. And so we want to build that kind of safe, fun, kind, respectful community. And I feel very good about that because we are also looking, obviously, if you're a Club MacStories Plus or Club Premier member and you want to volunteer to help us become a moderator, get in touch with us, because we are always looking for volunteers to help us sort of make sure that the structure that we have is the right one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's really important. And I think we've got a great group to start with, but we can always use more help.
Yeah. And second, I would say what I think is really exciting about the Discord is the integration that we'll see going forward between the MacStories team, the community, the content for the club, and the channels that we have on the Discord. So, for example, one of the many things that we'll be doing is regular town halls. So for town halls, think like live Q&A in a podcast-like format, right? So John and I, and maybe Alex, will be just talking live on the Discord. We'll give a sort of like a state of the club, update. And we're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about, content that's coming down the pipe. We're going to talk about things that we're planning. But we're also going to take questions from club members. So there will be a dedicated channel to ask questions. And we'll try our best to address those questions during the town hall live Q&A. And the first one, in fact, we are doing our first town hall exclusively on the club Discord server tonight. So keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on the club, because right now we're still, as we're recording this, it's the week before, we still haven't pinned down a time. So keep an eye on our Twitter accounts and on the Discord. We're going to post an announcement with the full schedule, but we're going to do a first town hall tonight on the Discord.
Yeah, I think the town halls are going to be a lot of fun. And I think the thing that's important to kind of, on a broader view, to also note about this Discord is that this isn't just going to be a place for community members to talk. It's also going to be a way for people to communicate with us, because we do plan to be active participants in the Discord, both in the general channels as well as the specific special ones that we're setting up for these various events that Federico's been talking about. We're going to be there, and we're really looking forward to getting to know club members better because, over the years, we get a lot of nice emails from people, and we get a sense for what people like and what they don't. But we don't have, especially since the last couple of years, there's been no WWDC. We haven't had the opportunity to interact with as many club members as we have in the past. And we're really hoping that this is a way for people to really get to know each other better, but also get to know us better, and for us to get to know them too. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned the integration with the Automation Academy. We're going to be doing that. There's going to be an AV club for all kinds of media. So think like a book club, but not limited to books. So we're going to pick, as a community, we're going to pick a movie or a TV show or an album or a book or a video game, whatever, to consume and enjoy together and talk about it and discuss it as a community. So that's one of the many things that we are doing. It's going to be fun. And once again, people have been asking for that kind of community access, a place where they could hang out and get in touch with the MacStories team for years now. And so I think we are trying to do this the right way, the MacStories way, if you will, where it's not just a community. There's also a content side. There's a very, all these regular activities, because I really believe in the power of bringing people together, bringing a community together for regular shared activities that we can do together. And I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and don't forget the beta beat, which is we're going to be working with some of our favorite developers to have beta access available for club members. This is not an exclusive thing. These are betas that you can get outside of the Discord community. However, the Discord channel for the beta beat is going to be a private space for people to kind of discuss the changes that are coming for particular apps, as well as talk to the developers who are making them and give direct feedback. Our first one is going to be Lookup, which is targeting a fall update for Lookup 8, I believe it is. That's Vidit Bhargava's dictionary app. So I'm looking forward to introducing Vidit to everyone and taking a closer look at what's in store for Lookup this fall. Okay, Federico, let's dig into Calliope. And Calliope is the web app that powers everything that we're doing. I mean, literally everything. But I want to focus first on the things that are member-focused and obvious when you land on club.macstories.net. And there are three things that are kind of tied together, and that's search, filtering, and RSS. And I'll start with filtering, because filtering is what we've done as part of this project is we've taken our entire catalog of back issues of MacStories Weekly and the monthly log, and we've imported them into Calliope. Now, Alex did a fantastic job doing this automatically with a special parser that literally took MailChimp emails, which have very complex HTML and CSS embedded in them, and parsing them and pulling them out and creating individual sections. So if you're familiar with MacStories Weekly, it's got a recommend section, it's got collections, it's got shortcuts corner, it's got a whole bunch of different features embedded within it. We separated each one of those out into its individual component. And then Calliope takes those individual components going forward when we create new issues and assembles them automatically into the MacStories Weekly issues that we then send out by email and that are available on the web. So because everything is broken up that way, we're able now to allow people to search and filter based on not only things like keywords, but also the sections of various publications, the new content that Federico and I described that we'll be doing for Club MacStories Plus and Premier members, as well as AppStories Plus if you're a Club Premier member, author, and date range. So if you go there and you click on that Explore tab at clubmacstories.net, you'll see a box open and you'll have all of those options where you could do, for instance, you could filter by all the Shortcuts Corner articles that Federico has done over the years. Or you might want to look at the extensions that I did just in 2019. You can do that too. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of combinations that you can create using filters that allow you to slice and dice everything we've done. And it's 350 or so issues at this point with roughly 3,800 articles. So there's a lot there, and it's much easier to get to than it ever has before, because if you recall in the past, what we had was basically a link list of web pages for each particular issue, and it wasn't searchable. Now everything is filterable and it's searchable. I should also mention the search, because that ties in with the filtering as well. If you click on search, you can search for any keyword that you want, but you can also incorporate the filtering, because if you start doing something like typing Shortcuts Corner, it'll automatically suggest that as a filter, and you can select it and add it to your search along with keywords. Or an author, like Federico's name, you start typing it, you'll see his author icon pop up, and you can click on it and then add it to your search terms. So that's a really powerful way of using search that goes beyond kind of the usual keyword system.
So, and I think what's really remarkable about the way Calliope works here is what we wanted to build didn't exist, right? This idea of we produce newsletters. We like the fact that each Friday we assemble MacStories Weekly and we deliver MacStories Weekly to people's inboxes every Friday. We like that as a concept. The problem for us was that we also wanted, in addition to that delivery mechanism, we also wanted to finally have a web presence for MacStories Weekly. And in my mind, the advantage of the club is all the different sections that we have done over the years, right? We have this structure for the Shortcuts Corner and the home screen and the recommends, and we have metadata such as authors and dates. But with newsletters, that didn't matter, because all you get is an email, right? All you get is an email message. And so in sort of converting 6 years of club content to the web, I had this dream of what if all those sections and what if all those authors and those dates and keywords contained within articles, what if all of that became a filtering criteria? And what if those items, and this was the thing that I struggled to explain at the beginning, and now you can actually see it as a working shipping feature. What if the same post could be both its own standalone article that you could share and send to others? But what if it could also exist as part of a newsletter? So you get two benefits, right? You get the ability to keep reading MacStories weekly as a single production that comes out on Friday, but also you have this vast catalog of multiple sections, thousands of articles that we have put together over the years that you can now browse and search and discover and share, because each post gets its own link individually, which I don't think no other CMS can do this. We couldn't find anything sort of as an existing CMS that allowed us to do this. And that is why we decided to build Calliope, because all these features, explore and search, they also play like this very structure of being able to filter exactly what you're looking for. It also powers another major new feature that we are introducing today that I'm going to let John explain, which is RSS for anything, basically.
Yes, that's a good way to put it, because, and this is something I'm super excited about, because I've been a big fan of RSS for a very long time. And the benefit of RSS, of course, is that it's an open web technology that we really believe in. So what we're doing is you can take any of these filter criteria and stack them together in any order that you want and create a custom RSS feed from it. And I'll explain the one exception to that in a moment. But that lets you do things like maybe you want a feed of just MacStories weekly issues and the monthly log. You can get that. Maybe you only want app debuts and Shortcuts Corner delivered to your RSS feed. You can do that. Maybe you want all of Alex's articles and nobody else's because you're a big Alex fan. You can do that as well. You should be a big. We certainly are. But yeah, you can absolutely do that, which is a really powerful thing, because you can have those delivered right into your feed reader using whatever criteria that are important to you. And you could probably find some pretty cool ways to combine this with shortcuts and other automation tools too. I'm kind of curious what users are going to do in that realm as well. But it's really amazing. Now, the one exception here is that if you create a filter that's just for articles, say in 2019, you're not going to get the option to create an RSS feed there because that's not going to get updated because 2019 is in the past.
Unfortunately, 2019 is over. I wish we could go back to 2019, but yeah. It's
right. I probably should have used 2020 as the year we don't want to go back to. But we're not going to add any 2019 articles anymore. I can guarantee you that. And as a result, nothing would be delivered to your feed. But if you'd use any of the other criteria, you can create a feed out of them, which we've been playing around with this a lot, and it's really cool. So not only can you copy that feed either as a regular RSS feed or a JSON feed right when you create it, but we also have a feeds page which you can go into through the drop down where you're logged in on the right hand side of the toolbar, and there's a feeds section there. And in there, if you haven't created any yet, you'll find some examples there, so you can kind of get an idea of how this works and what you might want to create yourself. But if once you create them, all of them will be listed here, and you can click on any one of them, and it'll show you the criteria that you picked for it and allow you to copy the link. So if you need to add it to yet another RSS client or something, you can do that, and you can delete it there too. So you've got the ability to manage these, find them again later. They're all stored. They're all personal to you, and to me, this is like one of the ultimate features. It's something that I've always wanted. It takes the benefit of something like email, where you have us pushing the weekly newsletter or the monthly newsletter to you, and takes it to a new level because it lets you pick what parts of the content that we're creating are delivered to you on a regular basis.
Yeah, this is like where everything comes together, right? The fact that we have a web platform that is totally custom and unique to us. The fact that we've imported 6 years of content. And the fact that we've carefully organized all of them by section, author, and date. And now with this custom RSS feature that we have, where you can mix and match all of those items, and you can craft exactly the kind of feed that you want out of Club MacStories content, including, of course, the new original sections that we are doing for Plus and Premier members. This is where everything comes together for me, because I've never seen on any website, and I don't say this to brag or to say that other websites suck. I'm just very proud of the thing we have built, right? Which is you can take anything, mix and match the sections, and make your own RSS feed, which is tied to your account. It's unique to you. It's unique to your subscription. It's like it becomes your thing. Like, these are my feeds, right? Nobody else has them. And it's exactly like that. So I'm just really proud of it, and the way that it works, and the way that you can go into your account page. You can go into your feeds page, you can see all of them, you can click one, you can manage the feed, you can deactivate the feed. It's all really well done. And I mean, Alex did an incredible job, not just with feeds, but with Calliope in general. And, but yeah, RSS feeds, again, exclusively for Plus and Premier members. And whether you use Feedly or iKnowReader or Fitbin, you will be able to copy standard RSS links or JSON feeds as well. So you have the option of using both types. And go check it out. If you're a Plus or Premier member, start with Explore, put together a section or a combination of sections that work for you, and then you will see the option to create a custom RSS feed out of that.
Yeah, I think it's important to emphasize that this is just standard RSS and JSON feeds, because there's not any kind of password system that's unique to this. I mean, that means it's going to work in every single app. It is tied to your account. They are unique URLs, but there isn't some sort of special login process or anything for this. It just works, basically.
Yeah, we're all big fans of the open nature of the web, which is sort of one of the things that I want to say to close out this inaugural episode of AppStories with AppStories Plus for members, which is our guiding light, if you will, here, our guiding principle is, and has always been with MacStories, that we are writers who publish content on the web. And although the newsletters have served us well, and we're not abandoning the newsletters, because by default, you still get a newsletter every Friday, right? Via MailChimp. That still works. But we felt like we needed to add a web presence to all that we do, to everything we do. We needed our content to be seen on the open web. And that is possible now thanks to Calliope, because regardless of whether you are a regular Club MacStories member or a Plus or Premier member, when you share a link to an issue of MacStories Weekly or the Automation Academy or a section of the monthly log or weekly, and you share that on Twitter, people that click that link, regardless of whether they are also members or they are regular or Plus or they are logged out of Calliope, they will see that page, right? This is not a custom proprietary system. This is just a website. And sure, it requires a login, but it powers RSS. It powers search. You can read articles with Safari Reader. You can use any kind of feed client, RSS client you want to use, because we generate standard, RSS compliant feeds. And the same goes with AppStories Plus, right? This is not some premium show that is exclusive to Spotify or Amazon or some other platform. This is the AppStories you know and love, with an extended premium version that you can listen to in all kinds of podcast clients. So we are big believers of the open nature of the web, because it has served the MacStories well for the past 12 years. And in that spirit, I felt like it was necessary for us to treat Club MacStories with the same kind of respect, with the same kind of attention that we've been treating MacStories for the past decade and more, which is why, going forward, we've already begun the work. Calliope will power MacStories in the future. We believe in this foundation so strongly, so much, that we have decided that MacStories will run on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this, in a way, this is, our test case to make sure that we could actually deliver on something that would work at that scale, at the full MacStories scale. And we're confident that's the case, which is why we're going to do it. I also want to mention, Federico, we can't finish the episode without mentioning, too, that we have rotating discounts for Club MacStories Plus
That's
and
true.
Club Premier
Yes.
members. So, we this is something we've done for a long time with the club, but we just do it periodically throughout the year. What we're doing now is we're teaming up with developers and offering discounts on apps and services that are going to change throughout the year. So, some of them will be there for longer than others, but we're working with the developers to kind of make sure that we always have something fresh coming every few months to the site. So you'll be able to log in, check out the discounts, and see what's going on there. And there's a lot of great launch partners that we're working with, and then those will roll over at some point as well. I also want to mention something about AppStories Plus, that it's available on Apple Podcast subscriptions, which you might wonder, why is that, since we've been talking about the open web? But we do also believe in choice and going to the people where they happen to be and use the things that they want. Because AppStories is and will always remain available on RSS the usual way, both the free version and our AppStories Plus that you subscribe to through us. But we do have a substantial number of users who use the Apple Podcasts app and prefer to use Apple's payment system. So you can get it there, but it comes with caveats because, first of all, it costs more. It's only available as a standalone thing for $8 a month or $80 a year. So that's $3 a month more and $30 a year more than if you buy it standalone through us. And on top of that, you will be limited to using the Apple Podcast app because that's just how the subscriptions work. It's not up to us. And you will not have the option to upgrade to a Club Premier membership in the future. So if you buy a subscription to AppStories Plus from us directly, we know that, and we can always upgrade you to Club Premier if you want to do that in the future. If you go through Apple, we don't know, so we can't do that. There's nothing we can do about that. So those are the main caveats I want to mention, but we decided it was worth doing anyway because, as I said, there are a lot of people who listen to the show that way, and we want them to be able to participate if that's how they prefer to get their podcast content.
Exactly. And AppStories, the regular free version, and AppStories Plus, they will always, I can make you this promise, they will always remain available via standard RSS, because that's just like the way that I like to do things around here, and I know that John agrees with me. They will always be available in the open, with the open nature of RSS. But we are all about providing options. We have 3 tiers of Club MacStories now. We have, monthly and annual options for AppStories Plus. We've always been about providing options to people, and that's just what we're doing with Apple Podcast subscriptions as well.
Wow, Federico. Well, that's a lot, and that's also why we're going to be publishing things throughout the week. So if we went over something that you didn't quite follow, just check the website because we'll have some posts on MacStories.net. I'm also doing some screencasts. There's a lot of ways to get more details about what we're doing, and of course, you can go to clubmacstories.net, not only to sign up, but just to read more about what we're offering and see the FAQs and that sort of thing. All right. I want to thank our 2 sponsors again for this episode, and that is Quill and Technology Untangled. As always, you can find me and Federico not only at MacStories.net, but at clubmacstories.net, where you can sign up for either Club MacStories, Club MacStories Plus, or Club Premier by going to clubmacstories.net/plans.
I have an even better URL for people that is so much easier and so much. You gotta let me mention this one because I'm so proud of that link.
I am very proud of this link too, and I was just about to say it, but I'll let you do it since it was your idea.
Plus.club.
How about that?
It's so nice, right? I know.
Plus Club.
Plus.club.
Yes.
You go there, plus.club, and you're taken directly to the plans page on the club.macstories.net website.
Perfect. Everybody can remember plus.club. That's a perfect URL, Federico. All right. You can also find me and Federico over on Twitter and Instagram. Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHEES. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.